I'm literally gonna wait for you. And I see you're gonna be like, nah, I'm not gonna like. I'm just keep watching.
Just subscribe.
And you think the clip gonna cut right here, but it's not because I'm still waiting for you to click that like button and the subscribe and the post notification button.
I'm just gonna start this off by saying that this is gonna be extremely biased because I've watched this movie multiple times, but also I'm a huge SpyxFamily fan. So if you're looking for a really unbiased talk about what this anime is about, I'm not the guy for you. So I guess it's up to you.
Nice.
This is gonna be a bit of a different take this time because usually I don't talk about movies, so it's gonna be a bit shorter but also a bit more concise. Because if you want to know what the premise of the movie is about, well, they're gonna tell you within the movie. But also if you don't know what the story is in general of SpyxFamily, they kind of explain it to you at the start of the movie. But because I feel obligated, I have to at least tell you the basic premise of what SpyxFamily is about and this movie. So basically we follow Anya, Bond, Yor, and Loid. Now Anya can read minds, Bond can see into the future, Yor is an assassin, and Loid is a spy. And the thing about this family is that they're assembled to kind of help Loid accomplish a mission in which he needs to get close to a certain individual so he can get information. And as such, he needed a family, and this is how they all were assembled. Now within the movie, it seems as though the operation might be stopped because there seems to be a lack of progress, of which is a really bad thing for Loid, because the problem is he's starting to like his family, and as such he feels like he needs to show them progress, but the problem is he didn't know how. But luckily for him, what happens is that within Anya's school there's an opportunity to earn a Stella. Now the thing is, if you earn enough Stellas, which are like stars, you get an opportunity to actually meet that individual that Loid wants to get information on. The problem is Anya needs to bake, and the thing with Anya is that we love Anya, but Anya has difficulty with a lot of things, and as such Loid decides that he's going to cheat the system because he's a spy, so he gains information on who the judge will be and what their favorite dessert will be. And as such they go to the place where this guy's favorite dessert is made so they can learn how to make it, and then Anya can win. And that is basically the premise of the movie. But then what happens is that Anya along the way ends up eating something, and it happened to have microfilm in it, which is a bad thing because the people who wanted the film are not very nice people. And as such begins this amazing adventure of them basically having to deal with the people that they kind of didn't know they had to. But the thing that made this movie really stand out to me was the fact that it was really something that I didn't expect, because normally when you watch anime movies they're often filler or things that don't make sense overall to the bigger story. They just seem sometimes like just a money grab. So I was really worried when I first watched this movie that it would be like that, but pleasantly it wasn't like that at all, because I found that whether you're new to the anime or you've watched the anime, this movie is able to kind of work for both sides. Because for example, if you're new to the anime, the movie does a really good job of showing you all of the cool aspects of the characters. Because for example with Loid, you get to see him be the spy that he is and understand that whether you know him or not, he's really good at what he does. But this is also applied to everybody, even a character like Anya, which most people think she's really just a gimmicky cute character within an anime. But the thing about Anya within this movie, I found her to be really funny in a lot of scenes, because there's a moment where these villains are waiting for her to basically go to the bathroom, and in this dangerous moment Anya just finds an opportunity opportunity to be Anya, and she's really funny and doing dances, and at some point she literally gets on like a weird vibe where she starts to see a poop guard and there's like a weird scene, and it was really funny, but it allowed you to really have a concentrated view of who Anya is. And this happened again with other characters too, like Yor, of which I think is a really hard character to sell because Yor is very shy and very quiet, but they gave her a moment to shine and maybe allow you to understand her more and appreciate her at the end. Now, I'm trying my hardest not to spoil, but Yor was crazy at the end, and this is what she does considering that, well, she's one of the best assassins ever. But it's this ability to show new viewers what these characters are about that will probably win you over and maybe make you want to watch the anime itself. But also, if you're a person who's returning to this and knows spyxfamily, you'll enjoy it as well, because even I learned new things about these characters, but it was such a very concentrated moment for each of these characters that you appreciate them more. And I find that this movie hit the right spot in being able to work for both sides, but also give you an extremely concentrated view of what spyxfamily is in less than 2 hours. And for them to do this showed that they really cared about making sure that spyxfamily is explained but also understood, because one of the big deals within this movie was the fact that a lot of these characters are dealing with the fact that this relationship is not really real because they're a fake family basically, but at the same time they're starting to enjoy each other's company and they don't want it to end. And you can see certain characters having to deal with the fact that if they make the wrong move, it could be over. And this is something that's usually thought of to be an issue that Loid focuses on a lot, or maybe Anya because she can read minds. But even with Yor was really careful about making sure that she does the right moves as a wife, but also to make sure that she keeps the family together. And I think that Yor was way more vocal than she usually is, but it was in a good way. But it also showed you just how much these characters care about being together. And for this movie to kind of explain this feeling that has been with the anime from the start, that there's a possibility that one day this might all end, maybe when the mission is accomplished, or possibly like what happens within the movie, that maybe Loid is forced to move on to something else. It allows you to feel what the characters are going through when these moments happen, and make you understand that they really want to be a family even though they're not a family. I found this pretty awesome because within a movie, it basically explained but also was able to give you all of the feelings that make spyxfamily. This movie felt like an arc. It didn't really feel like a movie, and I found that to be really enjoyable because you don't feel like you're sitting there forced to watch an idea that you have to abandon later. Even though potentially the villain is somebody that won't last forever, the feelings and the thoughts that the characters share is something that you can take with you into the next season, or if you haven't watched the anime, you can take those feelings when you start it, and it will allow you to have a more different experience. And I found this to be really cool. But now with all of these positives, I have to share some of the negatives to kind of balance things out. And to be real with you, like I said, there aren't that many, because I think that this is a really well wrapped up movie, and the only two issues I have are probably maybe subjective. But first of all, I think that they did Loid dirty, because compared to what he usually is, he was extremely cold and not very understanding. In fact, I found him to be sometimes really rude, especially with Anya, and that was very uncharacteristic of Loid. In fact, you might leave the movie thinking that Loid is a very dark character, when oftentimes he's one of the most lighthearted individuals, despite what he does. But maybe one of the reasons why he might be like this is that he understands that if they fail, he's going to lose his family. So maybe he's way more focused than what he'd usually be, to the point that he's more of his spy version than his family version. That's a possible explanation. My second issue is the villain. I don't think he was as fleshed out as he could have been, because for example, he had cool moments, like there's a moment where he outsmarts Loid, which was really interesting. But after that, he's just your typical very cold individual, and there's nothing much besides that. Because even in his ultimate fight with Loid, it was kind of just underwhelming. He wasn't as bad as I thought he would be, but even though he is dealing with Loid, I still found him to be a character that left you wanting. Like, there wasn't really too much of a background story on him or who he really is. You kind of just saw him as a big bad guy, and as such he can be really, well, not that memorable. besides those two issues, I don't really see that many problems with this anime. Because for example, when it comes to the animation was amazing. There's no reason why they went so hard with this animation, but they did. And you're constantly reminded throughout this anime that they care. The story is fleshed out relatively and very focused and concentrated, trying to teach you something about this anime or remind you of certain things. But then also with the animation, the quality is extremely high. I think even higher than what the usual anime is. But even with the music is excellent, but it seems to be a really focused relationship on what spyxfamily is, because there's returning artists who have already been in spyxfamily before in terms of openings and endings. And honestly, Soul Soup just changed my life, because that's one of my favorite spyxfamily songs. I wish it was an actual opening. And overall, I think that this is a really awesome movie that you can watch, and I think that it's a really cool movie. And honestly, it was a pleasure watching it multiple times, because I had so much fun watching this movie. And I think that if you give this movie an opportunity, I think that you'll have a really awesome time with it. It seems to be an anime that really focuses and cares about its fan base, but is open to other people joining the journey.